What happens when a nation's most promising leader faces the greatest threat to his life and power on the very first day of a new year? The news of an assassination attempt on Ibrahim Traoré, the 35-year-old president of Burkina Faso, sent shockwaves across the globe, making one thing abundantly clear. The battle for Burkina Faso's future has become a life-or-death struggle. On January 1st, 2025, as the world celebrated the start of a new year, Traoré's enemies wasted no time in attempting to end the life of a leader who represents the very essence of resistance against the Western colonial legacy. This is no ordinary coup attempt. This is a bold, violent response to a leader who has been publicly defying global powers, rejecting Western influence, and most importantly, presenting a new vision of African independence that threatens the status quo. So, who is behind all this? Who stands to gain from the destabilization of a country that was once a symbol of Western dominance? Here, we would like to take a moment and thank you for supporting us and being a valued part of our strong community. And if you are not yet a member, we encourage you to join us and help build an even stronger community together. Let's get started. To truly understand the gravity of the assassination attempt, we need to first examine who Ibrahim Traoré is and what he represents. Ibrahim Traoré's rise to power in Burkina Faso in 2022 was nothing short of a political miracle. In a country plagued by poverty, insurgency, and political turmoil, he emerged as a military captain with a vision for change. His ascent wasn't due to riches or political ties, but rather the result of his genuine understanding of the struggles of his people. At the age of 35, he became one of Africa's youngest leaders, and his bold promises of sovereignty and self-reliance resonated deeply with a population exhausted by corruption and foreign control. In the years preceding Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso had been ravaged by insurgencies, poverty, and a lack of trust in its government. Many viewed the government as a puppet of foreign powers, particularly France, which had maintained a strong presence in Burkina Faso since its colonial days. Traoré came to power with one key message: Burkina Faso must chart its course, free from the shackles of colonialism. His vision was simple yet radical: reclaim the country's resources, restore sovereignty, and remove the influence of foreign powers, particularly France, which had long exploited Burkina Faso's gold mines and other natural resources. Traoré's rise wasn't just about politics, it was about national dignity and pride. And for many, he became a symbol of defiance against a global system that had long kept African nations subjugated. But why does such a leader inspire such strong reactions, both positive and negative? Traoré's actions have challenged the very foundation of France's neo-colonial grip on Africa. His opposition to French business interests, the removal of French military forces, and his insistence on utilizing native languages instead of French in official capacities have made him a pariah in the eyes of many Western powers. Yet, to the people of Burkina Faso, he represents hope, a chance to build a nation that thrives independently and on its terms.
There are many things to do. There are challenges awaiting you. Don't focus on your age. Don't just see that ambition may not be as high as you imagine, but you must aim very far.
So, is this coup attempt a result of Traoré's audacious actions, or is there a deeper conspiracy involving both foreign powers and domestic factions? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. To understand why Traoré has become such a target, we need to look at the forces that may have orchestrated this violent act. On the surface, the most obvious culprit seems to be the opposition within Burkina Faso. Traoré's leadership has not been universally accepted, even among his military. While his rise to power was largely due to his popularity with the people, there are factions within the Burkinabe military that are opposed to his leadership. These factions see his anti-colonial stance as a threat to the established power structures in the country and may be seeking to restore the status quo. But the internal opposition is only part of the story. Traoré's most vocal adversaries are external. France, the former colonial power that continues to hold significant sway in West Africa, has much to lose if Traoré's vision of an independent Burkina Faso comes to fruition. For decades, French companies have controlled vast portions of Burkina Faso's gold industry, extracting immense wealth while leaving the Burkinabe population impoverished. Traoré's nationalization of the country's mining sector, his expulsion of French troops, and his rejection of French influence have been viewed as acts of defiance that challenge the economic foundations of French power in Africa. Beyond France, there are other global powers with vested interests in Burkina Faso's future. The United States and other Western countries have long seen Africa as a playground for their economic and strategic interests, and any shift toward African self-reliance is seen as a direct challenge to their dominance. The recent assassination attempt on Traoré is not just about removing him from power. It's about sending a message to anyone who dares challenge the global order. So, can Burkina Faso survive this attack, or will it descend into a full-blown crisis? The immediate aftermath of the assassination attempt has thrown the country into chaos. The public, already on edge due to ongoing insurgencies and political instability, is now faced with the fear that their leader, who has represented hope for so many, might not survive this attack. The government has launched an immediate investigation into the attack, but questions linger about the extent of the conspiracy. Who exactly is behind it? Could this be the beginning of a wider effort to overthrow Traoré and return Burkina Faso to the control of foreign powers? Panic is spreading through the streets of Ouagadougou, and while Traoré's supporters are rallying behind him, many fear that this is only the beginning of a violent and destabilizing period for the country. One of the key concerns following the attack is the potential for a military coup. With Traoré's position now seriously threatened, factions within the army may seize the opportunity to take control. Burkina Faso has seen its fair share of coups in the past, and many fear that this attempt on Traoré's life could trigger a chain reaction that leads to even greater instability. But the panic isn't confined to Burkina Faso alone. The international community is also watching closely. The implications of Traoré's survival or downfall are far-reaching. A successful coup would not only undermine the vision of a sovereign Burkina Faso, but it could also deal a blow to the broader Pan-African movement that Traoré's leadership has come to symbolize. So, is the assassination attempt a sign that Traoré's vision for a sovereign and self-reliant Africa is on the brink of collapse? For many, Ibrahim Traoré's leadership represents more than just a fight for Burkina Faso's independence. It is a challenge to the entire neo-colonial system that has held Africa back for centuries. His rise has sparked a wave of solidarity among other African nations, many of whom are now looking to Burkina Faso as a model for self-reliance and resistance against Western influence. But if Traoré is taken out of the picture, what happens to this growing movement? Will other African nations retreat into dependency on Western powers, or will they continue the fight for true sovereignty? For Traoré, the stakes are much higher than personal survival. His goal is to leave a legacy of sovereignty, unity, and independence for Burkina Faso and the entire continent. However, this assassination attempt has made it clear that his leadership is not just about navigating domestic challenges. It's about confronting powerful global forces that are intent on maintaining the status quo. His rejection of French influence, his emphasis on local development and innovation, and his efforts to establish a self-sustaining economy have made him a target not just for Burkina Faso's internal opposition, but for Western powers that have long relied on Africa's resources to fuel their economic engines. The coup attempt serves as a stark reminder of the high cost of independence in the modern world. Now let's ask ourselves, what if Traoré loses his power? What he did do for Africa that people will miss him? For that, you have to imagine a city built not as a symbol of foreign investment or aid, but as a testament to the struggle for sovereignty. This is the vision that Ibrahim Traoré has championed through his ambitious project, the Renaissance City. This urban development, still in the early stages, is far more than just a construction project. It is a powerful statement about Burkina Faso's future and a bold rebuke to centuries of exploitation by foreign powers. For decades, African nations have been subjected to the narrative that they need Western involvement for progress. Colonial powers have long controlled African markets and industries, convincing many that Africa's future hinges on foreign investment and expertise. Traoré's Renaissance City, however, stands as a direct challenge to this notion. It is not just a place of infrastructure. It is a living, breathing symbol of Burkina Faso's ambition to thrive independently and on its terms. The city is being constructed with local resources, with an emphasis on innovation and sustainability. Traoré has made it clear that this will not be a project dependent on Western capital or foreign companies. Instead, it will be a model for African self-sufficiency, demonstrating that African nations can build their futures without outside interference. The project itself represents a paradigm shift in how we think about development in Africa. No longer will the continent's growth be measured by the extent to which it aligns with Western interests. Instead, Traoré is demonstrating that Africa can thrive through its ingenuity, and that the future of African cities will not be shaped by foreign powers but by the people who live there. The ripple effects of Traoré's leadership extend far beyond the borders of Burkina Faso. Across Africa, countries that have long been dependent on Western aid, investment, and military presence are beginning to ask themselves whether they too can break free from the shackles of neo-colonialism. Traoré's defiance has ignited a spark of resistance, and the world is watching to see how far this movement will go. Mali, Niger, and other West African nations have watched closely as Burkina Faso has expelled French troops and begun reclaiming its resources. In a region where French influence has been pervasive for decades, Traoré's leadership is sending a strong message. Africa no longer needs to beg for its seat at the table. Instead, it must demand the respect and independence that is long overdue. But this movement is not without its dangers. France, along with other Western powers, has already begun to retaliate in various ways. Through economic pressure, diplomatic isolation, and covert operations aimed at destabilizing Burkina Faso's progress. The assassination attempt on Traoré is just one example of the lengths to which these powers are willing to go to preserve their influence in Africa. However, despite these threats, Traoré's stance remains resolute. He understands that his survival is not just about him, it is about the future of Burkina Faso and the broader movement for African independence. Every threat, every assassination attempt only strengthens his resolve to push forward with his vision. As Burkina Faso continues to fight for its place in the world, Traoré's leadership serves as a powerful reminder that Africa is capable of shaping its destiny. This is not just a fight for Burkina Faso's sovereignty, it is a fight for Africa's independence as a whole. And as Traoré leads the charge, other nations are beginning to see that their path to independence is within reach. One of the key aspects of Ibrahim Traoré's leadership is his commitment to Pan-Africanism. This movement, which seeks unity and solidarity among African nations, has long been a dream for many across the continent. For Traoré, Pan-Africanism is not just a political ideology, it is the foundation of his vision for the future of Africa. In the past, Africa has been divided by borders drawn by colonial powers, with each nation facing its struggles for independence. But Traoré is pushing for a united Africa, one that is free from the influences of Western powers and capable of standing on its own. He believes that the only way for Africa to truly thrive is if African nations work together, sharing resources, knowledge, and power to create a unified continent that can challenge the global order. This vision of a united Africa is gaining traction across the continent. Countries like Mali, Guinea, and Niger, which have also experienced coups or military takeovers, are beginning to look toward Burkina Faso as an example of what could be possible if African nations unite in their pursuit of sovereignty. Traoré's leadership has become a rallying point for those who believe that Africa's future lies in its own hands, not in the hands of former colonial powers. The question remains, can Ibrahim Traoré survive the threats against him, or will he become yet another martyr in the fight for African independence? His unwavering commitment to his vision has made him a target, and the numerous assassination attempts he has survived are a grim reminder of the dangers he faces. These attempts are not random. They are deliberate and coordinated efforts to remove him from power and halt the momentum of Burkina Faso's resistance. The fact that Traoré has survived 18 assassination attempts speaks volumes about the lengths to which his enemies are willing to go to stop him. But it also demonstrates his resilience and determination to see his vision through. Every failed attempt on Traoré's life only strengthens his resolve. He is not just fighting for himself, he is fighting for Burkina Faso, for Africa, and for the future of a continent that has long been exploited by Western powers. In a world where leaders often bow to external pressures, Traoré's refusal to back down has made him a symbol of hope for millions of Africans who are tired of being subjugated. But the risks are high. The growing threats against him, both from foreign powers and domestic factions, are a reminder of the price of defiance. Traoré understands this, but he is willing to pay that price. For him, the struggle for Burkina Faso's sovereignty is worth any cost. But is this an attack on Traoré alone? As the assassination attempt against Traoré unfolds, it becomes clear that the stakes for Burkina Faso are not merely about one leader's survival. They are about the survival of the broader movement for African independence. This movement is not just about removing one colonial power. It is about challenging the entire system that has kept African nations dependent on the West for centuries. For too long, African countries have been viewed as resource-rich lands to be exploited for the benefit of foreign powers. Whether through trade agreements that benefit only Western corporations or through a military presence that ensures continued control, the West has long maintained its dominance over Africa's affairs. Traoré's leadership, however, represents a rejection of this system. His vision of an independent Burkina Faso, free from the influence of former colonizers, is symbolic of a wider movement taking root across Africa. Countries like Mali, Niger, and Guinea are already following in Burkina Faso's footsteps, expelling French troops and reassessing their relationships with Western powers. The question is no longer whether African countries can achieve independence. It is how far this movement can spread, and how much resistance it will face from those who benefit from Africa's subjugation. This is where the assassination attempt on Traoré takes on even greater significance. It is not just about one man's life. It is a direct response to the growing Pan-African movement that is challenging the global order. If Traoré is removed from power, it will send a signal that the forces of neo-colonialism are willing to go to any lengths to preserve their dominance. But if he survives, it will send a powerful message to the rest of Africa, that the fight for true independence is real, and that African nations can chart their course, free from external influence. Despite the dangers, one thing is clear. Ibrahim Traoré's leadership represents more than just a fight for Burkina Faso's survival. It is a fight for the future of Africa. His commitment to sovereignty, independence, and self-reliance has made him a beacon of hope for many across the continent. As Burkina Faso struggles to navigate the dangers of foreign intervention and internal opposition, Traoré's legacy is being forged in the fires of resistance. His vision is revolutionary, one that challenges the very foundations of the global economic and political order. For Traoré, the struggle is not just about securing power, it is about creating a new future for Burkina Faso and for Africa as a whole. The Renaissance city, the rejection of French influence, and the emphasis on local development and innovation all point to a future where Africa is no longer dependent on Western powers. However, the road ahead is fraught with danger. The growing threats against his life, both internal and external, are a testament to the resistance he faces. But if there is one thing that has become abundantly clear, it is that Ibrahim Traoré is not just fighting for his survival. He is fighting for Africa's future. Whether or not he survives this latest attempt on his life will determine the course of Burkina Faso's future, and the future of the African continent. Do you think Burkina Faso must take revenge? What if they already know who is behind all this? Let us know in the comment section. Who do you think is behind all this? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.